Hello everyone, welcome to another process video. This is another one in my Double Trouble series, which means I work on a double page 12 by 12 layout. This one has photos from Madam Malkins at Universal Studios in Florida. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, you know what that is. And look at this, isn't it awesome? This was Hermione's dress in the movies, not the book, but in the movies for the Yule Ball. So I have all these lovely pictures from Madam Malkins, and I know I want to use pink as the background because there was lots of mauve and pink in the photos. But then I think I also want to use some kind of a gold or yellow. Look at that dress. Isn't it lovely? They had it lit up from the inside. So there's some gold here from Hufflepuff and a little bit of gold here on this hat and just some gold elements around. So I need gold or yellow or something. And there are a lot of photos. So getting them all in on just this layout is going to be a challenge, but I'm up for that. I also have this. This is the one thing I've picked out so far that I know I want to use. I have some digital elements that are all related to magic or Harry Potter in some way, and this was one of them. And so I printed it out and I have it at the ready because I like how it looks with this. I like how it goes over here with these kind of yellowy gold parts. So I know I want to use it. I just don't know how. So that's as far as I've gotten at this point. So I think what I'm going to do first is maybe try to work on my photo arrangement. And then once I have that, maybe figure out what kind of color that I can add in here, because I think seeing the photos laid out and all together will give me a better idea of where I need to go with it. So I'm going to start with that today. Okay, everyone. I've decided I'm going to go out of my comfort zone today. I tend to be a very linear scrapbooker. I like things to be symmetrical and in line most of the time, not always, but most of the time. So I'm going to satisfy that by having these lined up next to each other. They're going to go edge to edge, so they look uniform, and that's great. But then I think I'm going to go off kilter with these photos over here, just to give it a little extra something. I really want to highlight these photos because I love them all so much. So I want to make sure that I really give them their due. And then on this side, I have, sadly, two that go the other way. I would have loved the symmetry of having horizontal, horizontal, but I don't. That's okay. I have two vertical, but I think I can still kind of make that work. And I think maybe I'm going to do it something like this. I don't want to overlap anything of the actual dress because it's so gorgeous. But I think if I did something like this, it would be okay. Or maybe put the robes from the houses on top of this because this is dead space here. Who cares if I cover that up a little bit, right? So I think maybe something like that. And then either my title or my journaling will go down here. And I'm not sure what I'll do with these empty spaces, if anything, but this is kind of a big empty space. You can see it here. And so that gives me lots of opportunity for title or maybe journaling. So I'm going to leave it like this. However, I do think I do need to add that color in. So I think I'm just going to go into my gold and yellow stash of scraps and see what I can find that will just add in a little color here and there. And then I think I'll really have something then. I did go into my stash and I found some cardstock. It's kind of hard to see maybe here, but this cardstock actually has a slight texture to it. It's a little bubbly kind of. And it's the right color, I think. I think it matches pretty darn well with the bottom of that dress there. So I had a piece that was 12 by 12 in length. So I just cut it so that I'd have two uniform pieces here. And I think I'm just going to lay these right next to my photos that I have edge to edge here. So I will have to move these slightly and overlap it a little bit. Maybe something like that. I'll play around with it, but I definitely think that that color is needed. So I'm going to get that all in order. I'm going to adhere everything, including the yellow parts, and then I will come back for the next part of the layout. I now have everything adhered on here, and I'm going back to this little element that I had. It doesn't really work to put it anywhere by the dress necessarily, so I was thinking either here or here. I kind of don't like here because I've already got 2 points kind of yellow there. Whereas over on this side, I really don't have any. A little bit in the sign, but really I only have one. That's that big strip of yellow. There's nothing here. So I think what I'm going to do is put it up here in this dead space, and that way then I've got 2 points of yellow working over here and over here, and I think that balances it out pretty well. When I put down these yellow strips, I forgot to mention that I did decide to ink them, and I used my So Saffron ink from Stampin' Up, so hopefully the camera will pick it up a little bit. I just thought it needed a little bit of an inky border there just to add some definition. So that is what I used. Now, after I glued this on, I went back to my stash and I found something else I want to use. And it has more yellow, yay. This was another digital element I had. It was actually a 3x4 card, and I cut it down to be more of a square because I think what I want to do is either tuck it kind of under here a little bit or up top. The only problem is, of course, I glued this down. So I really shouldn't do that. I probably should just lay everything out first because it's happened to me more than once where I adhere everything and then I decide I want to tuck something in or make a change and I have to pry it back up again. So I'm going to work on that and then see how I want to put this or arrange it. If this rips the paper really badly and I can't make it work, I'll have to come up with something else. But I'm hoping that it will lift up nicely and then I'll be able to use this. Look at that. I was able to pry this up enough to get that underneath there. So I'm happy with that. I like where it's placed. And I may stamp something down here. I have some Harry Potter stamps and I may use them down here in some way. I also have a few stickers left that I had from all of my Harry Potter stuff that might work there too. So I'm not sure. And then on this side, I still have this blank space and I did actually find something, or I think I did. Here we go. I think I'm going to use this card. And I like that it says, braving the crowds for a fun-filled day. Even though we went at a time when they said it was lower attendance, which was the end of August 2016, because their kids go back to school at that time, it was still pretty crowded. We did have to wait in a few lines, not like for an absorbent amount of time, but we still did have to wait a little bit. And all the shops were fairly full of people. Now, I strategically waited to get these shots. I mean, you can see people in the background here, but I strategically waited to get these shots without people in them, and it took some doing, let me tell you. So I thought that was accurate, that I did have to kind of brave some crowds to get what I wanted. And then I like over here that it says rides, shows, snacks, other. This will be other. And then I can tell the story of how fun it was to go in there and see all the school robes and the fancy dresses and things for the Yule Ball and, you know, witches' hats and wizard hats. It was pretty cool to see all that stuff. So that is my intent with this card. I think I'm also going to ink it with this, just so that it all ties in together and it will bring in a little bit more of that yellow element. I did ink the card here, so that's ready to go, but I also found something else in my stash of Harry Potter / magical items. I found this little element too. It's pink, which matches perfectly, and it says magic. Well, that's meant to be that. I can't pass that up, right? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and place it at the top of this card and then just put a little staple in there. In fact, I can do that right now. Why not? So I want to get it centered right between the words there. Flush the top. And then I will just put in a handy dandy mini staple. There we go. All right, and then it will get placed over here like so. And I love it. I think it adds just enough the page, plus it gives me an option for journaling, which is fantastic. When I was looking at this layout I'll put together like this, I thought maybe I should bring in a little bit of a third color. And I do have some black here, but I think black would be too dark. This is a very soft layout, you know, pink and yellow are very soft colors. And then I thought, you know, there is some kind of mauve and purple happening here, and in this background up here. And so I thought maybe I would go into my rhinestones here and take out some of the lighter purple ones I have and see how that would look. So I'm going to try that next. I've tried the rhinestones here and I really like them. I think it adds just a nice little bit of bling, shine, and shimmer to really kind of draw in all those colors. Now, I will say I tried both purples. I have a lighter one and a darker one. If I can get them here. Come on. They're a little challenging to pick up sometimes. There we go. So I don't know if the camera shows this very well, but there's a definite difference. This is the lighter one, which I did decide to use, and then this is the darker. And you can really tell the difference when you see it on the yellow. I didn't glue that down yet. There we go. And I really think the lighter one is the way to go. So I am going to get my trusty glue dots here and glue down those rhinestones. I'll also put down this card, and then I'll see if there's anything else that I still want to do. I decided to do a bit more with this card. I checked off the other. I decided to color in the Good Times part to bring in more of that yellow, and I used this marker. It's a Stampin' Right marker from Stampin' Up! In that same color, So Saffron. I've had this a long time, so I don't even know if the format of these markers is still the same, but it works, so I used it. And then I decided to stamp in this little box down here, brilliant, because that's a phrase that we hear a lot in the movies. They'll say something is brilliant, and that is a Studio Calico roller stamp that I've had for a long time. So I can't tell you exactly when that was made or even when I bought it, but I've had it for a long time. So I added that stuff. I'm going to add one more thing on this card too. I pulled out this stamp set that I have. This is from Kelly Perky, and it's called Big City Love. And it's obviously city themed, but there are things on it that will still work, such as this. This says shopping spots, and that's what this was. So I'm going to try to actually only stamp part of it and take off the S so that it just says shopping stop or spot, sorry, spot, shopping spot with no S. If I can't do it correctly and it starts getting messy, I'll keep the S, but I really want to try and not have that in there. So we'll see what happens. I did stamp shopping spot here. I caught a tiny little bit of the S right there, but it's hard to see, so I think it's fine. I'm not going to try to cover it up or do anything else with it. So that part was done. And then I went back to this left side and I found another stamp that just said shopping. And this one was from, I believe it's from Studio Calico. It doesn't say on here. Yeah, I don't think it's Kelly Perky because hers always have her name on it. So I think it's just a Studio Calico one. But there was a stamp that said shopping. So I used that. And I liked the way it looked, but I thought it needed a little bit more of that bling too. And so I did put on another purple rhinestone there. And otherwise, I think this layout is done. So I'm going to take the camera off the stand, pan across both pages so you can see them together, and we'll see how it looks. All right, so here you can see it all put together. So left side, right side, and both together. So I am happy with how this flows and how it all goes together, and so I think I'm going to leave it as it is. Thanks for watching, everybody.